Okay, perfect. We're ready. All right, Jenny, do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
No, I can start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just give a little bit of the background of this, if that works. So, I'm sure most of you have this book, Rejection Proof. I don't know how you say it. I think his name is Jia Jiang. I don't know if that's correct or not, but or maybe you have the audiobook or the paperback or whatever. But so how this came about, I guess it was almost 2 weeks ago now. Allie and I were with a group up in Chicago for the Global Leadership Summit. And we were listening. I mean, it is absolutely incredible. And there were all these speakers and amazing speakers, thought leaders, just like people making huge differences in their industries. And we had started talking about, like, we should really do a book club because we know how important personal development is. But if we are not teaching, because that was something that I did not do right away, and I wish I had. And we wanted to just make more of an investment in that and to show you guys just how important it is. And so we thought, why not lead a book club and get everyone reading and like talking about it and doing it together. So we actually had thought we were going to do a different book first, and then we heard him speak, and it was absolutely amazing. And we were like, nope, this has got to be the first book, because I feel like of all the things we were hearing, like this was so applicable to us in our business, because we get rejection like all day, right? Like we get rejections all the time, and it is so easy to take it personally. So this book, Rejection Proof, and I'm sure we'll talk more about this as we go through it, but was basically a lot of the things that he found from his 100 days of rejection. So the book gets into a lot of detail on that. So I know we will be like getting into that, but basically he started out this project of trying to get rejected so that he could get over his fear of rejection. And how often are we hearing rejections all the time? Not even just in this business, but like it just in general, your kids are saying no. Like you go to the store and then you ask for something in stock, they say no. Like, like we get rejections all the time. So why do we take rejections for our business so personally? Why are we doing that? Why are we so afraid of it? And like, why are we afraid to ask the question when we know it's either yes or no? Like that's all people are going to say, yes or no. You go to Target, you ask if they have a certain item that you went to the store for, and they say no. Like, you're not taking it personally. The person at Target, when you tell them you don't like a product, they're not taking it personally. So why are we taking things personally? So that's a little bit of background behind why we chose this book. And he's freaking hilarious. If you ever have the opportunity to watch his talk from GLS, I think he's done some TED Talks, or like get to see him in person. He was awesome, and just really funny and down to earth. So we were really inspired by him.
That is perfect. You said it all. Okay, so I want to like kind of get into our questions. So the first thing I want to ask you guys, and like I said, just kind of, you can comment in the chat, you can speak up if you want to talk about something, but we're all coming to this in a different place. We're all, we are in different stages of our business. We're at different struggles in our business. Maybe some of us are on fire. Maybe some of us are feeling like we're in a slump, so we're all different stages, but, the big thing I want to know is, like, did the book hook you right away? Or did it like take you a minute? Like, did it take you a little bit of time to get into it? And is anybody like not into it yet? Okay, so we were
You're
saying
not going to get
right
like
away.
ridiculed if you want
You
to speak
what?
up. No one's going to like make fun of you if you want to speak up. Like,
Yeah, and if you're like, I just don't get it, I don't connect with him, you guys, like, this is total safe space, open. Anyone want to chime in? Like, what hooked you? Like, was there something that seemed so relatable? Was it his storytelling? Who's got something?
Hi.
Hi, Leslie.
How are you?
Good, good.
So, first of all, thank you so much for doing this and for all you do as leaders for all of us. I'm pretty new, so I'm about 4 months into my business, growing slowly, but a lot of seeds planted. Um, I actually started reading it, and was reading it kind of out loud with my husband and tell him a little bit about what I was reading, why I was reading it. And we both got hooked. So now we have our own book club with this too. But it was the starting off kind of with the soccer, like what is he doing with the soccer ball, just caught you with his storytelling. So I imagine in person, he's probably very enchanting when it comes to that, because he does tell a very good story that I think is just really relatable, because everybody has a dream, right?
Yeah, I think that's so true. And like he talks about, as a child, he was like, I'm gonna buy Microsoft. Like I'm going to do something huge. And it's really true. And I think there's a lesson to be learned just from what Leslie just said. Stories bring us in. Stories get people hooked. Stories, and every single speaker at the GLS, and when you really study like how to give a great speech, personal stories are the number one way. So what can we learn from that, when it comes to social media, and we're all trying to get engagement? Stories get people engaged and keep people engaged. So just like Leslie said, that was like, that got us all, I mean, really just like the prefix, right? Like it got us all like, oh my gosh, what's he doing? Why is he knocking on this person's door? So I thought that was like really, that's so true. Like his stories hooked us. And it sounds like a lot of people are um hooked right away. Somebody says, I get it, but it's not keeping your attention, but loves the donut story. Um, don't relate to his fear. Avid reader, I like the story, but can't relate to the fear of rejection on a day-to-day basis. That's interesting. Okay, so my next question is like, but has the book so far changed your opinion or perspective about anything? Do you feel different now than you did before you read it? So we're obviously only a few chapters in, but obviously we try to teach you as leaders, you got to get a lot of no's to get yeses. But that's scary. And what's interesting is like how he talks about, how he rushes questions. He like fear almost turned him into a mumbling idiot, when we talk about word vomiting on people, because we're like so frantic to get an answer and cover up and like almost overcompensate for our fear, right? So who wants to chime in about like how in just the first few chapters, um, like maybe a takeaway or your opinion of something, or something that already you're like, oh, I gotta change this. Some people are saying relating it to blitzing, feeling more pushed to reach out, feeling like taking more chances.
So I think something, sorry.
The above and beyond that Jackie went. And that's Brittany. It's like you're teeing us up for question number 3. So yeah, Jenny, what have you taken away so far?
Well, one thing I so I've highlighted a few things that I thought really stood out to me, but if you look very in the beginning, he talks about, I highlighted, I had fantasized about being an entrepreneur. He wrote a letter to his parents about what he was going to do. He then so this to me kind of relates to us with our vision board. So he fantasized about it. He said he took down all of his memorabilia on the wall and put up things about Bill Gates. And he wrote a letter to his parents when he was like 14 saying he was going to buy Microsoft. He was going to be this entrepreneur. He then was presented with an opportunity to come to the US and go to American college, which was a dream for him. So that right there, I was like, okay, he's manifesting his dreams. He put it out there. He wrote the letter. He made that become a reality. But as far as like the rejection part. So I think what a really big takeaway, and he talked about this a little bit, I think in his speech too, was he went to college, and like one of the first things he did, he drew the sketch of the shoes with the skates built in. And I'm sure we've all seen those. And the first thing he did, he was excited. He drew it up. He said it was like he did it all in one night. It was like a master blueprint, all these things. And he then called up his mentor, his uncle, who he respected his opinion, told him all about this, probably went on and on, super excited, and his uncle shot him down. And he put it in a drawer and never looked at it again. And I think, how many times do we, or have we seen people on our team get super, super excited? They just joined this business. They go to put their first post out there, or they go and they tell their family, and they get shot down immediately, and they just quit. They let that fear just hold them back. And I think that is just, whether you're talking about, him wanting to start, and invent a new product, or us wanting to start our own business, like that's the same fear. And, it's just, to me, it was a little bit eye-opening to see, like, that's not industry specific. That's not It Works specific. That is like a widespread thing. So that's not something that we're struggling with just in our own business. A lot of people struggle with that. And why, had he not let his uncle shoot down his idea, what if he had created the new, whatever it was called, Heelys or whatever brand? Like he could have created this amazing new company, but he let that stop him. So that was something that I took away of, like, wow, like that's not just us. That happens to a lot of people. And we need to figure out how we can teach our newbies, even ourselves, if we're still struggling with this, if we're new, how we can overcome that. So that was one of my takeaways.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting, like, because it's like, you shouldn't take money advice from someone who's broke. You shouldn't take, what are the other things? Like, shouldn't take nutrition advice from someone who's unhealthy. But like, he took shoe advice from someone who didn't have a career in shoes. But he's like, but he's not sure. Like, you can sometimes hold somebody in such regard that it blurs all your reason.
Mm-hmm.
What about anybody else? Like, does anybody else want to chime in?
I have some thoughts.
Yeah, please share. Hi, Terry.
I was going to say, first of all,
that's Chantel.
I was like, no, that's
else. I
Chantel's
thought it was Chantel's voice, and somebody else's face popped up. I was like very confused. I was like, God, this girl sounds just like Chantel. Please share.
I will. Okay, so first of all, can I just say I love that this Zoom and book club is making me like actually read a book and not be able to like just set it down and ignore it for 2 months. Like, I made it a point to get through the first 3 chapters, and it was so refreshing and good for my heart. I love so many things about this book. I love the stories. I love, it kind of made me sad. Like, I'm like all over the place, but it made me sad because his thought process, I feel like, is like the kid in us. Like, when we're kids, we have just so much ambition, and we don't know what fear is, and we don't know what rejection is. We're just excited, and we think that we can do whatever we want in life, and we don't have that thought process of real life and all that. And so and then I just loved his wife. I mean, I'm thinking of myself pregnant, about to have our first baby, and she's telling him to let go of this job and just giving him so much faith and encouragement. Like, that made my heart swell, and I teared up reading that, because like, that is the type of relationship that anybody would want, that your spouse believes in you so much that they're like, quit and give it your all for 6 months. I mean, that was just amazing to me. I love that the donut moment just kind of shows that, like, so many times, how many times have I given up an opportunity that could have been a viral moment or a Jackie moment due to fear and limiting my beliefs in myself and what I'm doing. how many people are out there that could have been ambassadors or presidentials or or even just getting that $500 extra a month, like, because I was too scared to ask them. Like, it's just been like everything in this book is just, I just love it all. And then the biggest takeaway, which I want to read this book now, is when he talks about the memoir, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying, written by the nurse, Bronnie, which is a funny name, Bronnie. I love it, but if your name is Bronnie, I'm sorry. I'm sure we don't have any Bronnies on here. But anyway, and the quote that he took away from that book is that the most frequent response she received was, "I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me." And you guys, I'm a person that really, I mean, just being honest, still to this day, worry about what people think about me. And I pray to let go of that. Like, I don't want that to be the thing that holds me back my whole life. So that is like my biggest hurdle. But that gave me chills too. And so I love this book. I specifically didn't watch any TED Talks. I didn't want to Google him. I wanted to go into this book knowing nothing about him. I didn't want to hear his voice yet. And so after we finish the book, I'll dive in and research him. But I love it. I'm so glad you guys did this, and I'm so grateful for it. But it's just amazing. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Chantel.
All right. Chantal, I'm with you that it's making me read a physical book, which I think there's something powerful in it. And I'm reading it almost like I'm studying it, like with a pencil, and I have notes in the corner and I'm numbering things, and I'm like studying it. And I think it's making me just like take it in that much more. All right. So I'd love for anybody, is there a certain passage or quote in the book so far that's really connected to you? Or is there something that's made you like just one word, oh my gosh. Anybody? I'm going to flip and find mine. Of course, I didn't put a post-it on that. There it is.
Sorry, I thought of one more thing. Were you guys like, when he put in his notice to his job, the fact that his boss was more worried about who was going to take over his stuff, like that made me like, yes, that is what real life is like. Like, you die, they replace you. Like, we are disposable. And that was like affirmation to me. Like, yes, he's doing the right thing, because she's more worried about his projects than what's going to happen with him, you know? Like, that's what I love about our business, is we are so relationship, and like, it's emotional and it hurts and it's vulnerable when people leave or go away, because we're so invested in each other outside of this work, you know? And so anyway, that's another moment when you said that, I thought of that.
No, Chantel, I had that highlighted too, because I've been through that multiple times, and it's so true. It's like, it is about the bottom line. I'm not saying you can't have good friends that you work with, but you're like, you know, like that's just this culture is like, who's going to get the work done? You know, everyone's judged on who's getting the work done, not like what's the best thing for this person, you know? So I agree with you. That was eye-opening for sure.
One thing that I really took away was, so he got the first rejection, you know, from his investor. And so for so long he had like been failing to take a risk. Now he had taken the risk and he failed. And what was interesting is he quickly walked through, like we always talk about, like things like they're so matter of fact, but there are almost like stages of fear and set that like came from it. So he says like, success no longer seemed like a sure outcome. In fact, it didn't seem probable or even plausible anymore. So one rejection not only made him feel like, I can't do this, it's like, my dream is worthless. Like, I can't do it. And then he says, I started doubting myself. He goes through a few other things and says, then I started getting angry with myself. Then I felt sorry for Tracy. And finally, I started getting scared. Now what? Like, what are your friends going to say? Your in-laws, they probably think you're a rational and irresponsible husband and father, and maybe you are. That, like, I like literally had them numbered, like, holy crap. There are like stages, like when a rejection happens, of like fear and doubt and like self-deprecation that like slowly seeps, that if we're not filling ourselves back up or making ourselves rejection proof, like that's why sometimes in our business people can get one no, or one person can say, oh, that's dumb, and they're gone, right? Like they're done. So who else? Did anybody else have like a
I
quote
do.
or a line? Yes.
I do.
Hi.
It's
Hi.
me, Amy.
It's
The
actually
real Amy.
Yeah, the real Amy, please talk. No, I'm just teasing, but I walk in my closet. Y'all don't want to see me right now. So I took away, and I just appreciate you guys doing this so much, because it is making me read a physical book, because I started reading audibles or listening to audibles, and I love audibles, but there's something about a physical book. But when he asked for the burger refill, so I just made a note, because he said his first big lesson that he learned, and y'all may have talked on this, but anyways, the way you ask a question and how you follow through in the conversation has an impact on the result you get. It may not change the outcome, but it can take a lot of the sting out of hearing no. So he was projecting confidence. He stayed calm. And like, I think back when you are talking, so many times I'm talking to people, in front of people, or whether it's in, behind my phone or behind the computer screen. And, we all hear the, no, I tried direct sales before, or that stuff's not for me. And it almost, for me, sometimes it leaves me stunned, because I'm like, well, I mean, obviously I'm proof that it does work, and it's almost like you can't come back with an answer. But it just goes to show you that even those people that tell you no, like, don't just let them say no. I mean, and I used to do that a long time ago, but then I started accepting no's for no, and dig deeper and find out like what they mean by that. Even though they're rejecting you at first, it may not end up being a rejection, and it might end up being a rejection, but just to keep your confidence and tell why you even asked them in the first place, I think is what I'm getting at.
Love that. That definitely gets kind of a good segue into our next questions too.
Yeah, go ahead, Jenny. You want to take it?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So based on the author, his like revelation so far about kind of like what Amy was talking about, the confidence, how you're approaching the question, using maybe humor, like to make it a little more lighthearted. So based on that, do you feel you're going to change anything about the way you talk to or message people or your potentials about this business? Like, is there anything that you've taken like concrete from this book so far with what he's learned just in his, I think he goes through 3 or 4 days of rejection from being super scared. When the security guard tells him no, he says why, and he doesn't even answer the question. He's just so scared. He wants to get out of there. Okay. Compared to, the burger refill, when he's like being funny about it, or when he goes into Domino's and he's like, oh, can I deliver a pizza? Like, keeping it lighthearted. Do you think that you'll change any way that you talk to your follow up with your potentials? Maybe like, so sometimes, I try to throw a funny joke in, or I'm not like a super humor person, but I'll do like a funny GIF or whatever it's called of like, the girl like waiting like this, doing the fingers. But like anything that you think that you could change how you're going to approach people that maybe would exude more confidence or a humor to make it lighthearted or anything like that.
Well, I will tell you guys what I've been doing since I've been reading this book. So yes, I don't know. So I am going back, this book made me go back to all of my old messages on Instagram, Facebook, basically, and like my notebooks too, because I have a note list. And it made me go back and go talk to all my no's again. And it wasn't about, I didn't talk to them about it works. And so, I went back and I found through the app, that I use to unfollow people on Instagram, all the people who were not following me back, y'all. So I was following 1,000 people who were not following me back. I went and was very intentional with going to their page and then just really asking them a question based off of their page. And it had nothing to do with fashion and stuff like that, but it was just really opening that conversation. And the 2 loyal customers I've signed this week, y'all, have been people who did not unfollow me or who were not following me. And now they are following me and they joined as loyal customers. And so it was a lesson for me because that's what I did in the beginning. People would tell me, oh, no, all the time. And if anyone who's been around for 5 years who's heard me talk, I used to never take no for an answer. So it was more like when I first started this business, I was dealt better with rejection than I do now. And I think it's sometimes because, you know, you knew people who maybe aren't diamond and ruby. I mean, I sometimes wish I could go back to like those stages because, you know, you are just like out there and you're just talking and doing what your enroller told you to do. And sometimes I feel like when you reach the success in something or whatever, you overthink things so much and you take rejection so much. You have a hard time with rejection. So here he was in corporate world, had a fabulous life, wonderful wife, job, whatever. You would have thought he'd be on top of the moon happy. But how many people do we know who think they have everything in this life, but they really are miserable? And so that is kind of the no's that we get from people, you guys, I feel like are people who don't think they need anything else in this life. And I think that's a lie that, you know, we tell ourselves because if you're making decent money, you know? And so anyways, that's kind of what I've taken from this so far. And it's made me really go back and get to know those no's because everyone does need this opportunity. And that's the way I always looked at it. So anyways, that's what I'm doing.
I love that. Go ahead.
The thing that I really took away was the guy who let him come into his house and play soccer, right? And the guy said, well, it was so off the wall. How could I say no? And that really made me think, like, and somebody said it in the chat too, that like sometimes we feel like we have to be so scripted and we have to say things just so, and we have to use the certain words. But then the author says, you know, he was starting to see just how important his communication style was, the outcomes he was getting. So sometimes personal curiosity on the part of the person on the receiving end of the question could dictate the outcome. That by piquing the other person's interest the way I made the request, I might have a higher probability of getting a yes. And that, like, I underlined, and then like I went back and read it again, because it's like, how are we asking the question? How are we framing the question? Are we using too many words? Are we sounding too scripted? Are we not as like intentional as we know we should be? And also, like, it made me think like, okay, well, I need to go back and just maybe be like, so are you gonna do this with me or not? Like, or I need somebody who wants to make $1,000 a month this month. Like, maybe put something really kind of outlandish out there to see if kind of they're like, oh, well, if she's crazy enough to ask me this, maybe I should do it. You know, it made me think like, am I not being bold enough in my asks? I'm just trying to look at the comments.
Can I add something?
Please.
Okay, so like one of the things that, gosh, I don't remember when, Amy, you talked about whenever you first introduced the whole calendar method and everything, and then you were talking about like sending voice messages and stuff, like maybe that was like what, 2.5 years ago or something. I had like, back then I had literally done kind of like told what I did over in like my story in a voice message to all my potentials. Man, I had so many, and I feel like I've gotten I still send voice messages all the time, but this book has truly like made me want to go back and just redo, get away from the scripts, because I feel like that, and I tell my team this all the time, that like when I'll like do an example of, I'll say the same exact sentence and then like once and not smile, and then I'll say the exact same sentence and I'll smile. And how he was talking about like how you say something matters, like what you say, like not necessarily what you say, but like how you say it, like how he was joking about, pitching jokes and stuff like that. But like whenever you're smiling and you're using voice, if you guys are not using voice messaging, you need to get over it and just do it. Because like, you can send a script, you can send a sentence, you can tell them what you do all you want. But if you're going to get on, I have so many more people like respond to me when I send my voice message. And I like have to force myself sometimes because maybe, you know, maybe my kid just spilled their milk or, you know, whatever it is, but like to smile the whole entire time I'm doing it, because your voice sounds different when you're smiling and it sounds excited. And when people hear that, they're like, oh, well, why is she so excited? You know, I want to be a part of that. I don't have, you know, maybe they're at home with their kids and they're having a miserable day, you know, and you sound excited. And so it's like, I feel like this has totally made me think like, I need to go back to that, redo, because I had started sending like my, you know, like, well, what do you do? I had just been starting writing it out instead of sending a voice message. And so it's like really made me want to go back to sending that voice message and explaining it instead of, you know, sending that text or whatever.
I love that. That's so true, because I know for all of my like messages, whether I was doing voice messaging or I would just do like a talk to text in my notes section and talk out exactly what I wanted to say and how I was going to say it. And I didn't overthink things. And I sometimes think that we get so caught up in, oh, like, do we have a message for this product? Do we have a script for this product? Like, you know, I mean, like, of course, some of the new ones, like, you'll want to research, but like, you know, these products, like, you know what these products are, you know what they're going to do. Like, don't worry so much about the details of sending them all the ingredients that are in this new product. Talk about what it's going to do for them. You know, I mean, so I definitely agree with that, Patricia. Like, there are just like things that I think back to, what did I do 2 or 3 years ago? And like, it was so, I didn't overcomplicate. And it's true. Like we overcomplicate sometimes. But another thing I was just going to say really quick is, aside from just him going out and getting these rejections, something that like I just keep thinking about is the fact that he's like, I'm going to get on video 100 days in a row. You know, like, think about that. Like, he's going to get on video getting rejected 100 days in a row. And this is like 2012 when he did this. So this is like pre-filters, pre all of the other things that you can do now. But he just put his face on video, you know, and think about how we get so scared to go live and like go talk on our story. Like, just that, getting over that fear, like not even the rejection fear, just the fear of doing it. That's something I'm like, gosh, I just need to do it. I just need to get out there. Who cares if I'm drinking celery at 5:30 in the morning and I look like crap? Like, I just woke up. Like, who cares? Just do it. People want to see the real, you know, like I think Allie like would agree. Like, we were so drawn to him because he was so real, you know, and he did show one of his videos and like, he was scared and he was making fun of himself, you know, like that was just him. And that, like, I remember that more than, I don't even know, most of the other speeches at this event because of it. And people are going to remember you doing that. And they're going to remember you going live, even with your kids spilling their milk in the background, more so than they're going to remember you perfectly made up with your lashes on, talking about a product that you know what I mean? Like, they're going to remember the realness.
That's it. Actually, there's somebody in our business, and I can't even remember who it was, but she had gone from triple to pres, and she completely accredited to that every single morning at like 6 a.m., toddler on hip, gross hair, no filters, whatever. She went live making her keto coffee for like 3 straight months. And every month she posted her personal results. And you guys, that's commitment, 100 straight days. Most of y'all can't commit to getting on a power hour for a week straight. Like, let's just be honest. And I know I'm just as guilty, because it's really easy. Oh, we want to do this. Excuse me. Or I'm going to get this done. But the novelty wears off. But I think for him, you know, he really started to realize just within his first week that this was so much bigger than him getting rejected. And something that really got to me were some of those emails that he got, you know, and that connected to me as far as what we can do in our business and with the stories we share. So this guy was sharing his stories just for accountability, really. And then suddenly within 2 weeks, he's like internet famous and has thousands of emails coming in with people telling him that he's changing their lives. So what does that say about us? Like, are we, you know, if you go live every morning about your keto coffee and then you're sharing how it's improving your health and how you're losing weight, like, who can you inspire? is there more, talking about this business, talking about these products, talking about the little blessings and your why, who's that going to connect to that you don't even, in a way that you're not even trying to connect from, So I don't know, those emails were really powerful. I felt like.
Yeah, those were so good.
And
like, I think about so many times, and you guys see the stories, like so many people share their stories. You just go to hashtag caught in the adventure. Pam is sharing stories from people in this business and what they have done. And if you ever need inspiration, just go search that hashtag and read those. Like, that will give you your inspiration right there and give you the validity that maybe you don't feel yet, that this business can change your life and you can go and you can change other lives. Because I think that, like for me, like this week, there were some bloggers that I follow and they have like a ton of followers on Instagram. And I've been like so nervous because I'm like, there's no way like they would ever want to do this because they're this like huge blogger, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what? Screw that. I'm going to go message them. I haven't heard back from them yet, but I did it. I sent the message. And because I was like, we have something that we literally have a golden opportunity where people can make millions and millions of dollars. And why are we not sharing it? Like, why are we holding it back? And that's one thing I've been taking away is like, just this, like the fear of holding things back, like why, just get over it and go change someone else's life, like get over that rejection fear. Okay. I lost I think we skipped a question. Okay. We're time check. We're at 10 after 9 right now. So I don't know if we want to show. Oh, Allie, you're muted.
Sorry. I want to know who has looked him up. Like, who has watched any of the videos? Who's watched his TED Talks? I know Chantal was like, I don't want to hear his voice.
So if raise your hand or drop a 3 in the chat if you've Googled him, looked him up, searched his videos, listened to a TED Talk.
None. Chantal doesn't want to.
Chantal, you may not want to watch us then if we show it.
Okay, so I think, we were going to show the Krispy Kreme video because it's really, and I think it spurs a greater conversation about customer service, honestly. So if you don't want to watch it, just like, hang on, let me look up how long it is.
Well,
it's
I'll
like
watch
5
it.
minutes.
I don't
Can I
mind
say
watching that because that's something we've already read in the book. I just didn't want to like.
Yeah, it's really, he actually even showed it to us during his speech because it gives like this whole new perspective on customer service and human interaction.
That there are good people out there still.
Yeah. Okay, I will mute myself and like cue it up.
Okay.
I think it also shows like the realness of him. Like, how we are all so nervous to go live because, oh my gosh, I don't have makeup on. Like, I mean, I feel like we're all caught up in that. I'm definitely caught up in that. But like when you're watching him in the car, you're like, he's just a normal guy with acne. Like, like he's not, and how much he went freaking popular in like not live. What's the word? You just said viral. There you go.
Yeah, viral. Internet fame.
Oh my gosh, like overnight within, how literally his inbox was just like blown up overnight. It just blows my mind.
I mean, he went from corporate guy working in a cube, deciding to create an app, to he's on like TV, like being interviewed on TV, like crazy. I mean, that in itself is a lot to take in such a short time. And even while he's doing this, he was still doing his videos, his 100 days. So he didn't miss any days.
I also think it's crazy that like he had hit 4 months and got that big fat no and was like, okay, I might as well just go back to work. This is not going to work out. And his wife said, you got 2 more months. Yeah. It's like, I am obsessed with his wife. Like, what's her name? I need to meet her. Yeah. Like, what's she doing now? It's like, how amazing is she though to tell him to keep going for those 2 more months because he committed to 6. Like, I just thought that was awesome, and thankfully he did, because that's why all this happened.
Mm-hmm.
What's crazy too at the GLS, his wife and his parents were there in the audience. And I'm like, that's crazy. So, okay, I'll share my screen and I will go over to the video. It's really funny. So we'll make sure everybody else is muted so we don't have any background noise. All right, share screen. You guys see it? Give me thumbs up.
We can't hear it. It's like muted.
You can't hear it? That's weird. Hold, please. Yeah, no. That's new.
Wait, Keisha said, what did she say? Change the audio.
Hang on, share computer sound.
Okay.
Now it'll let me. That's a new Zoom setting.
I'm driving to a Krispy Kreme. I'm going to, well, I know, I just got my hair cut yesterday. I look like a Viet Cong from the 1960s. It's okay. I'm gonna grow into it, or my hair is gonna grow into me, either way. I'm driving toward Krispy Kreme. I'm gonna ask them to make me some specialized donuts. And we'll see what happens.
What kind of specialized donuts are we talking about?
I like to have getting you link the 5 donuts together, make them look like Olympic symbols.
And when are you looking to these?
Huh?
When?
The next 15 minutes.
How did they link them this year?
Just normal color is fine.
You want them linked?
Yeah.
I don't know if we can do that. I've got it. It's like I didn't even pay attention to the Olympics this year.
No, just you got the 5 donuts together, look like a Olympic symbol.
Was it this way this year?
Something like that. That would work. Just link any 5 donuts together. It's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna take me longer
How long?
because I've got to catch them on the other side, and then they've got to get through the proofer and then drop in the fryer. It was the red, blue, green, yellow. What's the other color?
Red, green, yellow, blue, maybe white?
Was it white?
Could be.
That sounds right. Oh my gosh, I haven't watched the Olympics in so long that I may not be able to link them, but maybe make them look like they're interlinked.
Okay. That would be great.
Because the only thing I'm worried about is if I try to put those through the proofer, they will unsettle the trays and they'll end up falling. And then once they hit the fryer, you've got a divider, and if they hit that, they're going to get stuck. You know what I'm saying?
If you can make that, you're gonna make my day.
What is it? It's red, yellow, green, blue, white, right?
Yep.
Let me see what I can do.
Okay.
What do you think?
Wow. That is really good. That is really good. Yeah.
I mean, that's the best I could do with what we've got.
No, it's good. It's good. It's more than I thought it would be done. So great. All right. So Jackie?
Yes.
All right, I'm a fan. Thank you.
You're way too kind.
No, you're
way too kind.
you're really good. All right, so do I pay there?
Don't even worry about that. One's on me.
Are you serious?
Ditto. Ditto.
You serious?
Very. Extremely.
Wow.
Extremely. That's my pleasure.
All right, Jackie, I'll take it, but man, you make me really happy today. All right, thank you.
Very
All right,
welcome.
see you. Give me a hug. Okay.
Enjoy.
All right, thank you. See
You're
you.
welcome.
Wow. Sometimes you make a crazy request, you get an awesome answer. Jackie, who works for Krispy Kreme in Austin, Texas, thank you. You're awesome. As for me, I failed miserably because I did not get a no. Alright, there are 97 more days to go. Hopefully there are more no's. Or hopefully there are more like this. It just delights your heart.
Looking to level up.
Okay. Yeah. Stop. Okay. Bra ads apparently are what comes on after Krispy Kreme. So, I mean, I just think like that's such a lesson in, it changed his entire heart. It changed his entire perspective on what this project could be. Literally with somebody going above and beyond and like really taking in what he needed. So did you guys take customer service thoughts away from this? Did you guys have ahas about like how we follow up with our customers or what we do for them? Or, you know, what did you guys take away as far as like some of these little, the things he's done, the Krispy Kremes, where he starts getting yeses?
So something I was thinking was, how many times do people tell us they're interested in a product and we don't ask any questions? You know, like, so he told Jackie he wanted this donut to be made, the Olympic donuts. And what did she start doing? She started asking him question. And how many times does someone say they're like, vote on a poll and say they're interested in keto coffee, but we don't ask, oh, okay, here's our keto coffee. What are your health goals? Like, are you doing keto? Like, what, you like expanding them into our other products or even asking questions at all. We just are so like, oh my gosh, like, I just want to send the customer, like, give me your info. Here's how we do it. And you get to say it, like, versus like really asking them, what are your health goals? What diet do you follow? What are you most concerned about? You know, like, do you have problem areas? Like things like that, where we can really provide that good customer service like she did. But we, again, like, we are nervous or we are scared of like the conversation being turned off, that we just want to like hook her in right then and get that sale, versus really going from a keto coffee customer to someone who maybe is going to order our entire keto line because that's what they're doing. And they have like these massive goals to lose 50 pounds. And we're not even asking, you know, like, we have so many things to offer and we're not even asking the question. The biggest issue is the close when talking to customers, but I try to always end any message in a question about them. That's awesome. Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah. Asking questions. I mean, I had a girl today message me on Instagram I've been posting about my keto coffee every morning. She's like, does this help you lose weight? And so I said, it absolutely can. how much are you trying to lose? What's your current diet like? Like dug in a little deeper. Are you exercising? But when it comes down to the close, there's really, really simple words. Like you kind of ask their questions. You get it and you say, I recommend, you lay out the plan, a month's supply of keto coffee, chocolate green, and fat fighters to help whenever. And then you just say, does that sound good to you? And then they're going to be like, yeah. How much does it cost? Say it retails for this. Through our product tester program, I can give it to you for this. Does that sound good to you? Like, does that work for you? Does that sound good to you? And then she was like, yeah, I think that does. I said, great. What's your phone number? I'm going to send you your custom link to go ahead and check out. And then I used the shopping cart through Connect to send her a direct link to her cart already with everything loaded into it. All they have to do is click checkout. They read the LC agreement. They do it themselves. They check out. But sometimes you have to stop. Once you know what they need, tell them what they need, and then say, doesn't sound good to you. So I'm really excited to hear as we move on in this book, how then, like, does he stick with the app? Does he do something else? Like, how does he convert his fear of rejection? Because his fear of rejection clearly went all the way through. He talks about how many amazing, brilliant ideas are sitting in desk drawers because people were so scared to ever even ask. But like how that's going to convert to like growing businesses, scaling businesses, all that, what's going to change.
Yeah, I'm
a thought. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I don't know why this like kept popping in my head, but I feel like we sometimes like fear rejection, but we don't think about like the people that we're going to ask their rejections. Like if that makes any sense. I don't know. Sometimes I think about it, but like how they like see our profile and don't want to ask us the questions. Like, they don't want to reach out to us first. And I don't know why I've never thought of it that way, but I was like, gosh, like thinking of how like me going to Lindsay and asking Lindsay, like, I know most people don't know how weird my story is, but the girl that did my hair convinced me to message my upline and message her and be like, okay, you need to talk to her first. And I don't think that I would have done it if she didn't like sit there and make me do it. Like, even though she told me and she gave me all this advice, but like, I think about like their fear, like how, I don't know, maybe I'm just rambling.
No, I completely agree with you, Mandy, because when I watched Allie for 6 months, I was like so obsessed with it, but I didn't think I fit the personality to do it. It wasn't until someone told me, when she said to me, I think you'd be good at this, that I was like, oh, well, she thinks I would be good at this. Like, it validated me. And then, and so this is why I like try to like preach, like, we have to reach out. Like, don't think of it as cold messaging. Like, there are people watching you who want to do this, but they don't think they fit the profile or they have the personality or what. And we know that anyone can do this and any personality can do this, but they don't have the confidence in themselves, and we need to tell them that we have the confidence in them. So I totally agree with you, Mandy.
Yeah, that's a perspective I hadn't really thought of, but it's so true. Like, they're just as scared that we're going to say they're not right, they're not whatever. People are sitting there fearing they're not smart enough, they're not pretty enough, they're not tech savvy enough, they're all those things. So how can we let down our barriers to allow like us to say yes to that? Wow, that's a whole new world to think about.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know. I'm trying to think if we had other questions. I think really, like, does anybody else have anything? Like, what is the one, like, either say it or drop it in the comment. Like, what's the one thing you're going to do differently this week in your business because of what you've read? Like, what's the one thing that you're like, this changes now?
Can I say something?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. I wasn't sure if my mic was working. I actually have like my computer and my phone doing something at the same time. But something, so I watched, I think it was a TED Talk or something like that by this guy, like a month or two before the book club came out. And so I was like, oh, I've seen part of, his story. It's really exciting. I really liked it. But what I got out of it was that, he was asking, for rejection from all these people. But what he didn't realize, or I don't know if he realized it or not, but what I saw was that he was actually giving people an opportunity to expand or try something new, or, to like do something crazy that they would have never had an opportunity to do before had he not come and asked them. Like the Olympic donuts. I mean, Krispy Kreme is a huge company and they make lots and lots of donuts, but most of their donuts are like pretty plain, or, just like a little bit cutesy here or there, filled or glazed or whatever. But, there's not like this is your Olympic donuts and it's made custom for you kind of thing. That's not really the kind of company they are. And that employee, she not only got to expand her skills to like make a special donut, but him going viral with that video, putting her online, like she got all kinds of recognition from like the internet and complete strangers, and people praising her great customer service and everything like that. But like, we need to remember that when we're reaching out to our potential customers and our potential distributors, is that this isn't just something that we're trying to do so we can grow our business, but we're giving them an opportunity to take control over their health, their finances, their life, their future, their family. Like, would they could, but would they come across this if we hadn't friended them, if we hadn't messaged them, So it's like, you have to think of what you're going to be able to give to people, not just what you're going to be able to get for yourself.
Yes, that's so good, Marina. It's all mindset. It really is all like your mindset. And Allie, maybe you're having flashbacks. You were talking about this, Marina, and all I could think of is work it within your constraints. Find the way within your constraints. Like, y'all, we have like weird Facebook stuff going on and we know it. We just need to figure out how we work within the constraints of we're on a social media platform that has rules. We just need to work within those rules and we will figure it out. Like, you can figure things out. Like, that was so good, Marina, because yes, like that's not what Krispy Kreme does, but you gave her the opportunity to be creative. She used her constraints of what she had and figured out a creative solution. So we all have constraints, whether it's social media, whether it's our time, our children, our full-time job. Like, we all have constraints. Obviously we have compliance constraints that can't be broken, but we have all these constraints. Like, we can find ways to make things work. So maybe you need to get up a few minutes earlier, but you can find a way within all the different constraints of your life to make your business work. So that was a really good point too. I was thinking about that as well, as like, gosh, like that was another talk at GLS. Maybe we'll go into another time, but that was so good.
One other thing. So, like, you guys probably don't know this, but like, fear, a huge fear of mine is like speaking in front of people and public speaking, and like even on Zooms, like my heart's freaking out right now. But I wanted to just kind of put this out there as like a tip, something I used to do. And I don't know if I really like meant to stop, or just kind of, I just didn't realize I was even doing it in the beginning. But, when I was talking to people, whether it was from a host to post or I was messaging, somebody I was already friends with, I would ask them the initial question about, becoming a user of the products or a distributor, or, hosting a post. But it was like, if I got a no from a PLC or a PDT, it was like, okay, no worries. How would you feel about putting a post for me? Because it was a constant, like, I need to be expanding my network. And I just remember Aaron asked me one day, like, well, what do you do when you get a no? And I was like, oh, well, I just asked them to host a post for me, and it was just so like natural, because, all of those people that I was talking to, I just realized they're just an opportunity for a customer, a distributor, or a host to post, an expansion. So it was just like another avenue. And so I think that I really need to get back to doing that instead of just listening to their no and being like, what's wrong with you? Don't you know? Don't you know what this is? And just kind of forgetting about it. But, giving them a chance then to see what the products can do for their friends, or see what the opportunity can do for their friends by asking to host a post.
Love that. That's so true. Yeah. Turn the no into an opportunity for sure. Allie, any last words? Because we're getting close to an hour here. We probably.
Oh, I think we're right at an hour. Let's wrap up. I mean, I just think this is awesome. You guys are going to do Tuesday night next week. We're just doing 3 more chapters. This was a great book to start with because I think it's going to be easy to get through in a month. We're not asking anyone to do more than 9 pages a day. I do know it's sold out on Amazon right now, probably because he was a JLS speaker. I'm sure you can find it probably on his website, or I don't know. I'm sure there's other sites. Find it in your library. But if you have teammates who aren't on here and you think they need to be part of this, like they can catch up, or even if they're not done with all the first 6 chapters next week, like who cares? So encourage them to get on. We really, really appreciate you guys showing up for this. We just didn't really know how receptive people would be. A lot of people said yes. And then of course we've had about 25 to 30 come on here tonight, but imagine like if that was a book club in the coffee shop locally, like that would be a lot of people. So this is cool. This is something we've never done.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Give Jenny, please comment on the team page or whatever, or send Jenny and I messages if you guys have feedback, or as you're reading the next 3 chapters, if you have, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this, or just send them to us. I mean, this is the first time Jenny or I have ever run a book club. So.
Full disclosure, Allie and I Googled today how to run a book club and what questions to ask.
If you only saw our text conversation from this afternoon.
Oh.
And then I'm sitting here texting her being like, okay, so I'm going to get a really important phone call and it might come during the Zoom. I'm going to have to step away. We were kind of a mess today, but it was awesome. So you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight.